Hello there, Braden Smith here from Learn to Play the Fiddle. Today's video is a beginner's lesson, beginner's Irish fiddle lesson. I want to take you through a polka, an Irish polka called the Britches Full of Stitches. Fantastic name for a tune. And we'll take it step by step. I'll break the tune down for you so that we can learn the melody. And then in the second half of the video, we'll start talking about some ways that we can jazz this up a bit, add some simple ornamentation and some chords and things, and so I'll get into all of that later on. But first of all, we're just going to learn the melody and talk a little bit about polka rhythm. So let's get started. So first of all, I'll just play the tune through for you at session speed, up to full speed, and so you can just hear how it goes. I'm going to play it as I would play it, with a bunch of ornamentation and chords and stuff. But when we get into learning it, we'll break it down nice and slow, take just the melody bit by bit. So here's the Britches Full of Stitches. Great, so you can see there's a whole lot going on in there, but the melody itself is really pretty straightforward. So we're going to be learning this tune by ear, but if you also read music and you want to find the sheet music, I'll put a link to where you can find that down below in the description. But for now, we're going to learn it by ear, bar by bar. And one of the things I want to talk about here is how you go about learning tunes by ear. And one of the things that's really good habit to get into is to start to listen for structural things that are going on in a tune. Are there bits that repeat? Are there certain phrases that keep coming back? Are there variations on particular phrases, so you might have it one way the first time and a different way the second time, and so on. And you can start to train your ear to listen for those things, and it's a really good habit to get into. So I'm just going to play the first part of this polka. This is a two-part polka. I've got an A part and a B part. And I'm going to play you the first part through nice and slowly with no ornamentation or anything, just the melody, and really have a listen for any sort of patterns or structures that you can spot as I play it, and that will really help you when we come to learning the tune. So here's just the melody of just the A part of the Britches Full of Stitches. Great, so you can hear that whole part repeats. So you've got the A part, and we play it all twice, but even within that, you've got certain phrases that keep coming back. So we're going to start breaking this down bar by bar, and then you can really see how this tune is structured. So we're in the key of A for this tune. This is a tune that's also played in the key of G, but I play it in the key of A. That's the key we're going to learn it in here. And we're starting on the A. So the first bar goes like this. The important thing to notice here is the rhythm. The melody notes are nice and simple. We're just coming up a scale. But just notice that rhythm. Ba, be, dum, be, or however you want to say it. It's a really important rhythmic element of polkas. You get this pattern in many polkas. Dum, dee, dum, dum. If you want to, you can practice it even before we get into the melody notes, you can just practice this on an open A string. Good way to really make sure you're getting the rhythm nice and accurate. And then we'll put the melody notes in. And we'll add the next phrase as well, so that we've got a slightly longer phrase to practice. So that first bar one more time. And the next phrase we're going to start on the B. And in this second bar we've just got a straight rhythm. So the first bar we've got that dumpty-dum-dum rhythm. The next bar we're going back to what we'd call a straight rhythm with every note the same length. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the difference between those two, we'll play them both. So you can hear the first bar is what we call syncopated. It's got long and short notes, so dum dee dum dum, and then the second bar, all the notes the same length. Let's have a look at that up close on the fingerboard. So, starting with that first phrase one more time. And then our second bar, which is a straight rhythm. Let's do that one more time. If you're getting comfortable with that, you could go a little bit faster. Practice that round, because we're going to keep finding a lot of these phrases coming back, so really useful if you've got them really comfortable to start with. Great. So let's move on to the next little bit. And the nice thing about lots of traditional tunes is once you've learned some of it, you've often learned more than you think, because phrases keep coming back. So our third bar is the same as our first. We've already learned that. And our fourth bar is somewhat similar to the second one. And this time we go down to the F sharp, the second finger on the D string. So that fourth bar. And that last note is a 2-beat note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if you want to count it in 2. 1 and 2 and. Polkas are in 2, 4. So that means we've got 2 quarter-length notes in the bar, but very often we think of it instead in 4/8 notes or 4 quavers rather than 2 crotchets. So here we've got 1 and 2 and. So putting all of that together from the beginning, we've got our bar that goes dum-de-dum-dum. Then we've got this bar which I think of as a kind of rocking pattern. Goes da 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 da, like that. Then we come back to our dumpty dum dum bar, and then we've got this one that goes down to that F sharp, goes down low, which is nice and easy to remember because you can think of it as goes down low. So you've got dumpty dum dum, rocking pattern, back to dumpty dum dum, and then goes down low. And that's our first 4-bar phrase of the tune. Play it through with me a couple of times. Let's play that whole 2-bar phrase through twice. Let's do it one more time. Great stuff. Let's move on to the next phrase. So our next phrase starts much the same way. This time we end up on the high E, on the open E string. But the first bar is exactly the same as our first bar and our third bar. And then this bar that goes up to the high E. So rather than our second bar that went down to the open A string, this time we're going up to the open E string. So do that 2-bar phrase one more time. So let's come back to the beginning and add all of that we've got so far together. So we've got Dumpty Dum Dum, rocking phrase, Dumpty Dum Dum, goes down low, back to Dumpty Dum Dum, and then that bar that ends on the high E. So we're going to put all that together. Let's play it through together. Great stuff. So, just got one phrase to learn in the A part, and this is the only bit of the A part that doesn't start with that same bar, that Dumpty Dum Dum bar. So instead, this time we've got. So this time we're going down. That's the same rhythm though. Dumpty Dum Dum. One more time. And the final bar in the A part, just coming down to that E on the D string, that first finger. So that last two bar phrase, one more time. Play it with me one more time. Great. So let's play the whole A part through together. I'll play it through twice, slowly, and you can play along with me. Don't worry if you haven't got all of the notes yet. You can always go back, find which bits you need to rewatch, relearn, and then come back and play it through with me. Let's play the whole A part through twice. Very good. So you may have noticed as I was playing that, through force of habit, I couldn't quite leave out some slurs in here. So for now we've been mostly playing it with all separate bows, so one note per bow. But there are certain places in this tune where it's really logical, really makes a lot of sense to put in some slurs, so to slur a couple of notes together in the same bow. I'm just going to show you where I would normally do that. So in that first two bar phrase, slur the next two notes together. That's one place where you might put a slur. In the next phrase, it's the same thing in the same point in the phrase. In the next phrase you could put a slur in the same place again, and in the final phrase I'll almost always slur these two notes together. So those two notes in the same bow. So looking at that whole phrase with those slurs, it would sound like this. Fairly simple bowing pattern for now, but it does suddenly give the whole tune a bit more shape and a bit more of a flow, rather than keeping every note in a separate bow. Let's have a look at the whole A part up close, so that if there's anything that you haven't quite worked out, you can see what I'm playing, work it out from looking at my fingers. So let's play the whole A part through twice, close up, so you can see what's going on. Great, so hopefully now you've worked out the melody for the A part. We'll keep going and we'll have a look at the B part. And as I said, towards the end of the video, in the second half, I'll start to show you some of the fancier stuff that I would do with this tune, including a really fun variation that you can put in the B part, really sort of jazz it up, so stick around for that. If you're enjoying the lesson so far, please do hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It really all helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it also lets me know that people are enjoying the videos, which is nice. Great, so we're going to press on with the B part of the Britches Full of Stitches, and you'll find that lots of the things that you learned in the A part are going to be helpful here. Even where there are places where it's not exactly the same notes in the same order, you'll find that parts of the rhythm are going to be replicated in the B part, and certain phrases are going to feel really familiar even if they're slightly different. So the B part will I think be a lot easier than the A part to learn if you've already learned the A part. So let's crack on with it. So our first phrase now, rather than starting on the open A like in the A part, we're going to be starting on the open E string. So the first bar goes. So it's the same rhythm as that first bar that kept repeating in the A part. In the A part we had this bar, and we practiced that rhythm. Same rhythm for this bar in the B part. Bum dee dum dum. Good. Practice that bar a couple of times. We're coming down to that C sharp on the A string, that second finger on the A string. And the next bar resembles, it's not exactly the same, but it resembles the second bar in the A part. You remember we had that rocking bar in the A part. We've got something similar here. You could even think of it as like the same thing but upside down. So that first bar again, and then let's put them together without the gap. I'll show you what that looks like up close. One more time. Great. And that first bar that we just learned, starting on the E string, that's also going to repeat. So we've already learned the next bit. And in fact, you've already learned the next bar as well from the A part. It's the one that goes down low. So let's put those two together. Exactly the same thing as from the A part. So putting all of the first sections from the B part together. Let's do that one more time up close so you can see. Stuff. Practice that until you're comfortable with those finger patterns. And the next bar is exactly the same as the first bar again. So we've already got and then we're back to this bar, which you already know, and the final phrase is also the final phrase from the A part. So there's a lot less new melody to learn in this B part. You've already learned maybe as much as half of it from the A part. So we'll do the whole thing together. just as with the A part, we play all of that twice before going back to the beginning of the tune. I'll play you the whole thing so you can see it up close. This is the whole B part through once. Fantastic. So practice that round until you're really comfortable with that basic melody. I'm now going to play you the whole tune from the beginning, A and B part together, and you can play along. I'm going to keep it at a steady speed for now, and then we're going to look at some little additional variations that we can put in here. So this is the whole tune through, 2 times through each part, 2 times through the A part, 2 times through the B part, nice and slowly so you can play along. Great, so you will have noticed in that playthrough that I was also using some of the same bowing patterns, some of the same slurs from the A part in the B part. And if you want a nice simple pattern of bowing, pattern of slurs in this tune, you could just use some of those same slurs that you were using in the A part in any phrase that comes up in the B part, and that will give you quite a nice flowing simple bowing pattern for this whole tune. I'm just going to play the whole thing slightly quicker so you can hear how I'm not going to add anything extra. I'm just going to show you how that will actually give you quite a nice flow to the tune, even just a fairly simple bowing pattern like that. So I'm really not doing anything particularly complicated there, just the same kind of bowing patterns, slurring the odd pair of notes together, just to try and give it a little bit more flow. One thing I would say about playing polkas, it's nice to think about getting a bit of light and shade by making some phrases in the tune a little bit spikier. So getting those short notes really short, getting the bows for those short notes really short, and then some phrases introducing some slurs to make them a bit more flowing. And you can accentuate the difference between those two kinds of polka phrases. So in this tune, it actually literally, you can think of one bar of each. So the first bar a bit spiky, get it a little bit, maybe even a little bit scratchy, and then a bar that's slightly more flowing, so we introduce a slur and keep the bowing nice and smooth. Then back to a bar that's a little bit spikier, and back to a bar that's a bit smoother. And you can replicate that through this whole tune to quite good effect. So always a little bit rhythmic and then a little bit more flowing, a bit more rhythmic, a bit more flowing. Again, just to play you the tune a little bit faster, you can hear how that works in practice. That's just once through each part, just to show you how that might sound. Great, so hopefully you've got the melody comfortable now. You can play along with it. If you can't play it quickly yet, don't worry, that's fine. Just keep playing it until you get it under your fingers. But I wanted to move on now just to look at some simple things that we can do to spice this up a bit, to add some variety. We don't want to be playing tunes round and round the same way, exactly the same every time. And one of the simplest ways of varying this tune is to add some really simple chords or drones. You can talk about them different ways. Chords, drones, or double stops, people will also say. But it basically just means playing two notes at the same time. And in this tune there are some nice easy ways that we can do that. Because we're in the key of A, if you play the A string at the same time as playing other notes in the tune most of the time, that's gonna work. That's gonna sound okay. More than okay, it's gonna sound good. So in this tune we're going to just introduce some simple chords where we're going to play the A string at the same time as some other notes, and I'm just going to show you where we're going to do that. On that note, when we drop down to the F sharp, you're just going to bring the second finger down on the D string, but at the same time you're going to play the A string as well. So I'll just show you what's happening here on the fingerboard. So I'm bringing that second finger down on the D string, but I'm going to play the D and the A string at the same time. Like that. So just to play that first section. Playing those two notes together. So have a go at that. You'll need to arch your finger over so that you're just hitting the D string. Make sure that you're not also flattening the finger so you catch the A string. You're going to need to have nice pointy fingers to just play on that D string. An important thing to say about playing chords, drones, double stops, whatever you want to call them, is it's important not to end up playing with a heavier bow. You want to keep the bow nice and light. I'll make another whole video about playing chords, but just to say here, keep the bowing light when you're playing on two notes at the same time. You don't want to end up with this effect, where that note really stands out like a sore thumb. You want it to blend into the rest of the tune. Like that. In the next phrase, in the A part, we can do exactly the same trick. But it's really nice to keep the A going over the top of all of those notes that happen on the D string. Especially if you slur between the F sharp and the E, you get a nice resolution to the chord. The chord starts out this way and resolves to that note. And if you slur between the two, you get a really nice effect. So just to play you that whole phrase, I'll play it for you like this first of all, and then I'll show you up close. Here it is up close on the fingerboard. Like that. A further thing to say about playing chords or drones or double stops is they will really show up your tuning of the melody notes that you're playing with your left hand. So you need to be really fine tuning every note, because if your chords are slightly out, it'll sound really bad. So you have to make doubly sure that you're playing with really nice tuning of your melody notes. So just pay a bit of extra attention to that. But it does add some really nice colour to this A part. practice that until you can play them really nice and cleanly. And the lovely thing about that is because all of those phrases repeat in the B part, you can just move them all over to the B part and have exactly the same effect. There and there. So have a go at those chords, play them until you feel confident playing them really nicely in tune and getting a really nice clean sound out of them. And then you can start adding them into your playing of the Britches Full of Stitches. So I said that we'd look at a variation in the B part that I often play, and I think this started out for me as an occasional variation, but I like it a lot, so I tend to now play the B part through using this variation every second time that I play the B part. So I'll play the B part as we've learned it, and then the second time round I'll play it with this variation in the melody, and I'll just play you the second time round, as it were. So the B part with the variation. That's the variation, but I'll play the whole thing for you. Just like that. So the way that we learned the B part and then with the variation. So we'll have a look at that now. So it's very common with variations to get them at the end of parts. So you might have a different ending the first time round and the second time round. I suppose it's slightly less common to have it in the middle like this. But I'll play this pretty much the second time through the B part every time. It starts off exactly the same way as we learned the B part. But then we're going to go straight up to the high A. I'll just break that down slowly for you. It's just a descending line pretty much all the way from the high A down to the F sharp. Just pay attention to that rhythm while I play it. And I'll show you what that looks like up close. Like that, one more time. Great. So quite often, just to add a little bit of extra to this, I'll slide into that high A note. One more time. If you're interested in learning more about playing slides, I've made a video on that, and you can go and have a look at that if you want to learn about how to play slides and where you might put them in different kinds of tunes. For now, we're going to slide into that high A. And also you can have a bit of fun with the bowing here. So quite often I'll slur this whole run down in 2 or 3 bows. So maybe the first 4 notes together. All of that together. And maybe the next 3 together. And a bow for the last note. That's probably something like my normal bowing pattern for this. One more time. And then you're back into the way that the B part normally would go from there. So just to show you one more time how that fits into the B part. Just a little bit quicker. So have a go at that, play around with it, see if you can get that really nice swing to it. The key to that little variation is getting that nice groove into it. Ba be da be da be da da da. You want to really get that sort of falling groove into it. And yeah, you can use that to add a bit of extra spice into that B part of the tune. Great, so I hope you've got a lot out of that video and that you're well on your way to learning this tune. If you've enjoyed the tutorial, please do give the channel a subscribe. I'll be making lots more videos, tutorials and tune play-alongs and tips and tricks and all sorts of things. But we'll finish by playing through the Britches Full of Stitches a couple of times so that you can play along. Let's try that one more time, just a little bit faster. If you're getting comfortable with that tune, let's try it just up a little notch in speed. So 1, 2. Great, I hope you enjoyed that. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.